going to be talking to Julie about a recent trip that she took. Julie, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Frank and Frankie.
Thanks. It's very nice to have you.
Yeah,
Hey,
I'm
can
excited.
you can you tell us a little bit about your travel style?
Well, I like to travel to the beach apparently because I got really cold when Washington was like 9 degrees one day, and I got angry, so I booked like 4 trips to the sunshine. Or
Nice, nice.
yeah,
The last week had gotten to me. I was looking. I almost went this weekend at the last second just to see some sun.
yeah, it was like I just needed the sunshine because it gets so gray in Washington and cold, and it's pretty and the snow and everything, but I don't. I want the beach and the sunshine.
Right. So does that mean you're a big packer or a light packer?
I'm a big packer, but I've gotten better. So I used to pack way too much, but I've gotten better. I've heard that you are a good packer, Frankie. So what about you? Can you get how many days can you get in a backpack?
I can get about 8 days in the backpack.
I could get one. So one. A carry-on, you might get me through like a 3-day trip.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, can you tell us a little bit about a recent trip? What inspired it?
Yeah, so I took 4 trips recently all over the first 2 months of 2024. The first one was for, one of my best friend's 40th birthday. I think you know her, Frankie and Frank. I think she might, be a little,
Oh,
close to
yeah.
you guys. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Know
All
her.
right.
You do know her? Yeah, so a good friend of mine turned 40, so since the 40s are the best so far, we decided to go to Cancun, Mexico, and that was probably the best beach I've ever been to. We stayed at a all-inclusive resort. It was the Rio, and I can't remember there were so many Rio brands, but it was one of the the Kukutan. And it was a lot of fun, and the beach was amazing, all inclusive, decent food, but really it was all about the beach.
All right.
And then I went to San Diego, which I think I like the Atlantic Ocean better than the Pacific Ocean. I like California, but it wasn't as pretty, obviously, as Cancun.
I, I don't. Hawaii still wins me every time, and that's the Pacific. So
Yeah, Hawaii is gorgeous. Yes. The difference with Hawaii, I find, is that, and you know this, Frank and Frankie, that you guys do a lot of international travel. So with that, Hawaii is expensive. Like, it's beautiful. You're never going to find anything but Hawaii, but you can go to so many other countries and places for half the cost now, unfortunately. So,
true,
yeah, I
true.
think that's why I kind of shy away from Hawaii more than I would like to, just because it is way more expensive and I've been
I,
there.
I don't think I've been in over 10 years, and we had a trip planned. Right, I believe like 4 days before we were supposed to go, they required children to have the COVID shot. So
Oh,
yeah, so even if we were going to do it, which we didn't even consider it, but even if we were, we wouldn't have had time. So we just
Went
we
to Florida.
went to Florida where they didn't care about
they
COVID
do
shots.
not mind. Yes, yes, Florida's mine, which I did go there as well. I went to Tampa at the beginning of February and it was so nice. It was like in the 80s and it wasn't hurricane season, so that was really fun and really good. I like Florida a lot. I like their beaches and I know they always rank in like the top like 7 beaches in the world. Florida's always got at least one on there. So that was a
Right.
good trip too. New Orleans that I also just got back from, that was all about the food. I was there for the food. So
Did you? That's recently. Did you make it for Mardi Gras?
I did not. So I did not go for Mardi Gras, but we did see like bands down the streets and all of that. And it was such a cool experience just seeing the architecture and the cemeteries where the graves are all in these mausoleums. In fact, I know you guys' last name and I won't use it on your YouTube channel, but I did find your last name on one of the mausoleums in the cemeteries. So I was like, oh, that's where they can be buried one day. Because all the graves, Frankie, to give you perspective, because New Orleans, it's below sea level, so they don't, here in our cemeteries in Washington, the bodies are buried underground, and you see the headstone on it. There, it's all these big structures above ground because they can't be below sea level. Because what would happen if something, happened? Would they float out? You wouldn't want to see a city floating with all of that.
I
So
think they did float out during when Katrina came through.
yeah. I think you're right. So it's very different and it's really cool to see. So the architecture and like we went to the garden district where all the houses are really old and they had all these beautiful like plants and just really really old houses redone and that was really fun and the food was amazing. All the seafood, the crawfish and the shrimp and all the crab cakes and everything. That was fun.
Uh,
Yeah.
I think the last time I was there, I rode a bicycle down to the Garden District from right around the French Quarter.
Yeah,
Rode
yeah,
my
I stayed in the French Quarter, did the whole Bourbon Street thing, and, what's funny is my friend that I was with, she pointed out the bicycles when we were there, and she pointed out how there's no gears on them. You know how you have a gear on a mountain bike, Frankie, and how it to shift you to help you up the hills and all of that? Well, in New Orleans, it's just flat, so you don't need gears because it doesn't matter, it's just flat, you just need your brakes because 'cause you're not working that hard.
What was the most challenging part of those trips?
The most challenging part was probably that I have a job. I actually have a career that I have to do, and I literally did not look at a calendar when I did this, so I booked them all like in advance, like all just like 2 weeks apart. So then it was like I got back to work and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I still have to like have a career and do my job." So I think I would space it out a little bit more, maybe do one a month versus 2 a month.
What
So,
with that with working from home?
mhm.
Couldn't you just do that all the time?
I could, but we do like we have a 4 state footprint, so we really
Right.
work from our 4 state footprint. So I would ask, like, I would get approval, but I could, yeah, that is an option. Um,
Yeah.
but then I also like to like remind myself that when I go on vacation, I want to be on vacation. I want to put work away. That's the point of the vacation. So it just
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
that's right.
depends.
It's funny because when people tell me that I'm going on vacation, I just anymore I remind them that it's not really a vacation because I go so often. Plus, it seems more like work than an actual vacation.
Sometimes it does seem like work, but I think that you have like like TSA pre-check. I still need to get that. I do have clear, but that like
You don't
helps
have
to get you through
pre-check.
the line. I don't have pre-check. I know. It's
How could you
crazy.
not?
I'm
How
like,
can you have clear and not have pre-check?
I don't have any idea. I don't know what has happened to me. Yeah.
They're getting a little bit worse, but there is nothing better than a clear pre-check line.
Yes, I am going to get the TSA pre-check. That is a 2024 goal because it's fun to travel. I enjoy traveling. I want to continue it. I travel for work. So
I
yeah,
I always suggest if somebody travels more than 4 or 5 times a year, you should have the TSA.
I
Clear is a
think
little bit more expensive. I think I get mine covered through a credit card, but it is a little bit more expensive, so that might
yeah,
not be for everybody. But yeah, if you hit more than a couple times a year, that pre-check is
it
definitely
makes it worth it. Um,
yeah.
Frankie, what's your favorite thing about traveling?
Um, Getting to take a break from my problems.
Yes. Yes. I agree with that. It is nice to take a break from everyday things, right? And get to see different cultures and different places. You guys get to go to all the fun places. What's the next trip?
India.
India. Is there anything you're excited about to see or learn?
Now, one thing I'm excited about is to eat the food that they have there.
Do you like Indian food? Oh, it'll be so delicious. Yeah,
We're
I
gonna
find sometimes we plan trips and like it gets so busy you just kind of like eat things as you go and whatnot. So like there will be a time where I will plan a trip that is all about the food, just like delicious, delicious food.
right.
Yeah.
It is always tough, right? You do end up tend to think, okay, I'm going to get all this food, and then 90% of the day you're just grabbing something quick and moving along.
Grabbing something quick and moving along and trying to just get to whatever you want to do. So I've decided there will be, I just have to figure out where, I'm thinking like Italy or somewhere where you just so
Mm.
much food, wine, all the good things.
Yeah, that there you could do it more on the quick. There are a lot more small restaurants that you can
Yeah.
get pretty good food. Ooh, now I want to go to Italy.
Yeah, right? Now you're like, "Oh, he's gonna look for a ticket soon." Yep, I know.
We are booked for the year. I think we have a trip to India, and then we're going to Puerto Rico in the fall.
That's one I'd like to go to. I heard, it is amazing in Puerto Rico, really fun. I heard it's
Yeah, we
really
never been.
fun.
I've never been down there. She's never been down there. Plus, we're
Oh,
going. I think September we're going to Puerto Rico.
fun. I love
So
it.
we'll be there in the the hurricane season. We'll see. We'll see if
Oh,
they
yeah,
take
I
us
did
out.
that. I did that in Florida, but I mean, the rain comes in and then it goes. And I don't know. I know Puerto Rico got hit really hard. Was it a couple of years ago? So I always kind of figure like
Couple
if you get, I figure like that you're safe after it gets hit one time. Like you might have a year or two before it comes back, but you never know. They say it's all
global
changing.
warming,
You never know.
right? We had last year we had a hurricane.
In California.
We had a hurricane, an earthquake, and her and I were in Iceland when they were having a volcano. So
Oh, so you guys are hitting all the major,
we,
catastrophes.
we
Great.
had a heck of
See?
a year last year.
We saw
Oh,
when we were in California, Hurricane Hillary came through.
oh,
Hurricane Hillary. Right.
yeah. California's got some different rain this year for sure.
Yeah, that was before all this. This is just
Yeah.
getting out of hand.
It is. It's like,
Oh,
this is like nuts, but yeah, I think I want to do the Bahamas, hopefully, Mexico again. I want to
I was
start traveling more out of the country.
I was in Colombia not too long ago, kind of the same waters as the Bahamas there. It was nice. I was in Cartagena.
Oh, that would be great.
Next question: how do you plan your trips? Any tips for our viewers?
Well, I usually plan with my Alaska credit card because I like the mileage. So all the perks. I like the perks. Like I have to go on a work trip and, they cover that, of course. And then I was like, well, I'm going to upgrade to first class because it's, $35. So I typically look at Alaska and really I like to use the points. So the more points I can get, the more travel adventures I can have that are like less expensive. A friend that
Right.
I know, he was in Spain and he said it cost him $8 because he works and travels, and travels for fun, travels for work, racks up all the points. And so he got to go out of the country for 8 days and it cost him like $8. So I think the point systems are good. But I always kind of just look to read reviews, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And really it has to have a beach. I just want a beach. As long as it's hot and there's a beach.
I was a couple years ago. I do Delta, and I do try to do them domestically. Now, when it comes to international travel, anymore, I will go with the cheapest one unless
Yeah.
Delta is really close, because I will go with the upgrade on Delta if
Yeah.
it's close in price. But otherwise, I'll go with the cheapest one. But I did get with mileage. I went to Australia for less than like $14. Whatever the tax was is all I paid,
Yeah.
and I had an upgrade, so I got to do it in the Delta one.
And it's so nice because like the way I try to do it is you're going to spend that money on things anyways. So then why not get a bonus and get a kickback for what you're already spending?
Right. I try to do all my stuff on my Delta Reserve card
Yep.
for sure.
The things to learn, Frankie, as you're a world traveler. Tell your dad, thank you so much for being smart with how you do your points. Because it makes a difference. It really allows you to travel more often. I think that's a big thing. And yeah.
It does. I think we went to New York a couple months ago on points.
Mhm.
And I think like remembering to go back to places that you enjoyed is important because sometimes there's so much to see. Like you never get to see it all when you go someplace. So
I'm a good 3 day in the town.
yeah.
So when it hits 3 days, I'm ready to go someplace else. But that doesn't mean that I can't do that 3 days over 75 times.
Yeah,
Because like you
exactly.
said,
Yeah.
for 3 days you see the big stuff. The next
And
3 days you see different stuff.
and that's why I've never like thought about like an investment property. And I know people that, own homes in Mexico or own homes, out throughout the US. And it's like I never wanted to do that because I don't want to feel obligated to travel to that spot. So
Right. And it would, yeah. Say you get to travel 3 or 4 times, 2 of them you'd end up, well, we
you'd
better go
always,
see the house.
yeah, I better go where we're at, better go to the house, check in. Yeah.
You can ask the next question. All right.
All right.
What's one thing you always carry with you when you travel?
My toothbrush and my
We need
contact solution and contacts. I always want to be able to see. So, yep, my toothbrush because I think that's very important. Usually, the hotel, like if you forget something, they've got it there, but I'm not like my toothbrush. No, that's always toothbrush. What about you? What do you always travel with?
I always make sure I have enough clothes. You always have to travel with clothes.
That's true. Yep, and a good book. I like a good book on the plane.
I haven't needed it in 8 years, but I still take some $100 bills with me just in case.
Smart. Yep.
My
You never
card
know.
seems to work better everywhere now. I've been in some pretty remote places and the card has worked, but I still take some $100 bills.
Very smart. Yes. Cash. Yes. Cash is always good to have. You never know.
For Tangiers, it's very low in prices.
Yeah, it was pretty
You
low.
can get like
Yeah?
4 meals for the price of 2 in here.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I love that.
All right. Can you share an interesting story about somebody you've met while you're traveling?
Oh, I'm an extrovert, so I like to talk to people, but I always meet people in airports because I like to go and have a meal before I get on a plane because I don't like the food that they serve on planes. Um, I have met so many interesting people. I probably can't narrow that one down. There's people I've met in airports that I am like Facebook friends with, and we still talk to this day, and we'll go and meet up if I'm in town or if they're in town. And so I like that. I like people in general, so I always try to make friends. This last trip I took, I actually met a guy that was from the town I grew up in. And then he knows my cousin who's about 10 years younger than me. So it was really funny to like, as you start to like talk and connect with somebody, to then find out like how connected the world is. Cause I'm sitting in an airport, this guy's going somewhere, I'm going to Florida, and we both are from Lakewood, Washington, and he knows my cousin. It's like the world is small, even though it's huge.
We were flying back, I think, from LA, and we ran into somebody I work with in Shelton.
Oh, is that yeah, it's so
Right.
random. I met a guy on the beach. I went to the beach in Florida, and I met a guy that that had been in Tacoma, Washington 2 weeks before. And I'm like, Tacoma of all places? Like, didn't say Seattle, Washington. It was Tacoma.
Right.
I'm like, well, I live there. So, yeah.
I've had some interesting times meeting people. Yeah, all over the world. It is crazy. And
Yeah.
when I was really traveling, like last year, when I was putting in a lot of miles, it seemed like you would start seeing the same people at the airport.
Right? It's like when you go to Hawaii and buy a Hawaiian shirt, and you think it's totally like yours. No one else has that print. And then you start looking around and everyone's wearing a Hawaiian shirt. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. So Frankie, when you get to go these places, because I'm curious, because you get to travel the world, which is a really great benefit for a child because it expands what you know of the world, right? So is there any place that you've been where you think the kids and the children there seem very happy?
Now this is a hard one.
Mm.
Probably Florida at the pool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
All
that's
the
a
kids seem really happy playing with their parents in the pool.
I
Yeah,
love
we had
that.
that was a pretty good trip. It was a small water park at the hotel. It was a pretty good spot.
They
And
had,
everyone was
they
happy.
had like 2 water slides.
I love that.
That was pretty cool. All
Yeah.
right, so couple more questions. How has
All right.
travel changed your perspective on life?
It makes me appreciate people more and different viewpoints because I think one of the things that you'll learn, Frankie, as you get to travel the world and see things is that people have a lot of different ideas about what is right and what is wrong and all of this and this and that. But I think at the end of the day, as you go to these different places where people are raised completely different than you still find a connection. There's always something, and as humans, we are made to connect with each other. I think, we have all this technology and we have all these ways to travel the world and do all these things, but we are meant to connect with each other. So I think that's probably it. Yeah.
No, that is pretty crazy.
Okay. What's your next destination and why did you choose it?
Well, it was chosen for me because my next destination is a trip for work. So I'll be going to Kansas City, which I don't have much desire to go to, but I do like to travel for work and I like to see people that I work with that live in different places. And I think if the video that came up on Instagram is correct, there's a library there that looks like books on the outside. Like it looks like a bookshelf of different books. So I think
Oh,
that's what I'll try to find. And I am excited to have barbecue. So a friend of mine sent me a place to check out for barbecue. So I'll have that. And then as
yeah,
far as another like fun trip, I haven't figured out my next fun trip yet, but it'll be somewhere hot and somewhere sunny.
I have one more question for you.
Sure.
I think I heard that you went to DC recently.
I did,
And I
yeah.
think you did that kind of on your own, right?
I did. It was a work trip that I expanded, so I was there on my own for about 4 days. It was probably the best trip I've ever taken as far as being proud as an American. Like, it was America's history. Like, it is where like, it was the coolest trip, and if you ever go, take a night tour. I wasn't going to, and 2 of my coworkers were in town from a different state, and I thought, "Oh, I gotta spend time with them." It was so informative. I learned so much. You learn so much about America. You learn about just everything. I went to Arlington Cemetery and got to put flowers on graves of soldiers of a friend of mine that had fallen. Um, all the different memorials of the wars and what we've done as a country and how we got to where we are, the White House, all of it, the Capitol. It was the coolest place. I think everyone in it like should go to DC. I will go back numerous times.
The funny thing is I've driven through there a couple times, but a couple years ago I had an 8-hour layover. So the only time I actually went and spent and check out any memorials is on that 8-hour layover. But I got to
Oh,
walk. Well, I got to walk from where Lincoln's at
yeah.
to the Washington Monument. So it was. I got to see quite a bit. It was a
You
pretty.
got to see a lot of it.
Yeah.
I got to also go to the African American Museum and the Holocaust Museum, which I've gone to the Holocaust Museum in Houston and Dallas, and I'm fascinated with World War II. When I was in New Orleans, they had a World War II museum I went
Yeah.
to, so that was really cool. DC though, everyone should go to DC. Washington DC is amazing. Like, it was just so it just makes you so proud of our country, and even though we're a young country, just the way things were written and the way things were done and just the appreciation of it. And then what people have gone through to keep this country safe.
Right. I
Yeah.
think one of the things that people forget is most countries, when you go to their capital, it's also their main city. So
Yes.
like our New York would be our capital, but it's not. We have a city that's you can tell it's a government city when you get there, right?
Oh,
You can
yes.
look at the buildings and say, "Oh, this is the government. This isn't a
This is
city." And it's just kind of weird that we have our own city for government, and it
it's
does that
amazing.
way.
And what I learned on the night tour is that it's a taxpayer city. So you can
Yeah,
go anywhere you want in Washington, D.C. If you want to go kick a soccer ball on that White House lawn, you might have to deal with the Secret Service, but it's
right.
your lawn. You paid for it.
It is your lawn.
All of
There
it
is a
is
way,
your
right?
lawn. So it's really, it was really just interesting. That was probably my favorite place I've been in a long time.
I got a
Uh,
weekend available in a couple weeks. Now you got me
Do it.
thinking.
Do it.
I
Oh,
have
Frank,
some
do it.
miles sitting.
Do it. I'm telling you, it was so good. I stayed downtown at the Hamilton. I think it was built in like 1910. It was a cool hotel. It was old school. Like, they have the food there. I got some really good food. I didn't get like all the places I wanted to go, but it was, yeah, DC was amazing.
I
Just makes you
wouldn't
feel
mind
proud.
checking out that. You know that Ethiopian chef that's pretty famous?
No.
He was on all the cooking shows for a while. His restaurant's there in Washington. I can't remember his name, but he's based
Nice.
in DC.
Yeah,
All
do it.
right.
It was,
Well,
yeah. Okay.
all right. I think we'll wrap it up with you. Thanks for spending
Okay.
time with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks. And I can't wait to hear about your next adventure.
The India one should be pretty cool. We didn't talk about it, but we're going to a place called Varanasi,
Uh-huh.
and they've been cremating bodies there for the last 3,500 years, and at
Wow.
least one fire's been burning there that whole time. It's been a city longer than the word history has been around, so it's pretty cool.
Oh, that's
And if
really going to
you,
be amazing.
I think if your ashes are dropped in the Ganges there, then you skip reincarnation and go straight to Nirvana.
Oh, well, then if that's the case, I might have
Yeah.
to send you with some of my dad's ashes because we're going to spread him all over. So if
Are
that's the
you?
case, yeah,
That's
yeah.
that is when anybody asks me, that's what I tell them. Just get my ashes to the Ganges. I'll be good.
Yep, we'll be good.
Uh,
Well, all right, you guys have a great rest of your night. And thank you so much for asking me to be a part of this.
all right, you too. Thank you for doing it.
Till next time and next travels. All
You
right,
too.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. All right. This